Okay, so this was for your for another short film, right?
This was for a person who asked me to make a music video for their song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay. How much time did you take?
That music video, I did it in 2 weeks. The animatics and the animation.
Did he provide any kind of script?
He basically explained the metaphors that the things made, and he wanted like very literal visuals.
hmm
That's
And it got approved, right? I guess it
yeah.
must have been. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And what are the other two clips? Yeah.
They're the finished versions of the animatic.
Finished version of these
Of
two parts.
the yeah.
Okay.
Just in case you were wondering, I put it just in case. They're not animatic. Yeah. It's a 6 minute film, so yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this is like your final film.
Yeah. It's like still a work in progress. Like a little bit is left, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Great. Great. So I'll give you feedback on this animatic, right?
Yeah.
Because I think since this was for your own self, but while doing, you should keep a few things in mind that
Yeah.
uh, whenever you create a portfolio for storyboarding, right, you need to make sure that it looks like commercial work, it looks like professional work, right? Right now, sorry, whatever you have done, that was for your own self, so that's fine as long as you know it is it is it is clear to you. But a few things, if you take out the subtitles, right, so many things won't be clear to the audience. So
Yeah.
always remember, whenever you are telling a story, right, in form of animatic or in form of storyboard, right, so make sure that, I know there are certain things which only you can take help of the dialogues, right? If two people are talking, not everything is going to get clear through your shots, right? You can only give a certain sense of the context via your shot, right? But most of the things can be communicated through your shots, like through visually, right? So you need to make sure of that first. Secondly, I would refrain from using, this kind of 3D sets. 3D sets can be used, but that you can use whenever you are, composing or choreographing certain kind of complex shots. Let's say you are doing some kind of action sequences, or let's say you have certain uh, a location, maybe location of a factory, right? And there are certain most of the shots are long shots, right? And so you don't want to waste time drawing the whole factory or the whole setup, which is very very complicated. Then in that case you might use 3D. And if you have, certain camera moves uh, which cannot be done in 2D. Let's say you have a complex background, right, and you want to change the camera, or you want to move the camera, so in that case you can use 3D backgrounds. But in terms of this simplified shots, I'd refrain from using 3D setups, right? Rather I
Okay.
would. Even simple drawings would do, but you need to draw it. These things don't look good in professional, portfolios, whatever it is. And the basic rule of drawing, you need to set the eye level first, right? Just rough would do. This is your rough, right? Now I'm drawing it over, so you might feel, wait. You see? This will add a certain kind of depth to it. That's it, right? So this
Yeah.
kind of boards, you don't have to keep this in the final boards. If you want, you can erase it. But these are more or less, it's very rough, but yeah, you will get the idea. And these boards will look professional as well, whatever they are,
Right.
right? Instead of this,
Mm.
right? I don't have any shading or anything in the background, anything, nothing is there, but you will get the idea. You know, this is presentable any day, right? So that is first. Second is, whenever you're drawing, try to make sure you always take the eye level, always.
Okay.
Okay. So that is another thing. Let's say, let's take this as an example. I'll just reduce the resolution a bit. This is 3D, that is fine. But when you are drawing it in 2D, always remember, since your eye level is here, right? Yeah, this is how it is, right? So you have to make sure that when you are composing your pictures, things that, since you are taking the help of perspective, all these are of same size, right? So it should go along with the perspective. The thing that is in the foreground should be bigger, and the thing that is in the mid ground should be even bigger, and thing in the foreground should be the biggest, right? This is how you should have composed. Right now, things are not in perspective. There is no sense of scale, right? So you need to keep that in mind. These are very small things, but they matter a lot. This will add, even if your background is in 3D, but your depth is gone, completely gone. You see, there's a sense of scale now, right? This could even be bigger. This this should be of this size, right? And tone wise, it should be darker, right? Understood? So you should compose it like this. Moreover, you should keep, you know, certain things in mind, like hookup and all those things. I don't know what happened here. This is blinking. Like,
Yeah, it's indicating something not there.
so that is not way to do that. You are
Okay.
already showing that it is not there. So you don't have to indicate that it is not there. For example, for example, right? So can you find a horse here?
No.
No, but I don't have to draw a horse to show that there is no horse. Are you getting my point?
Yeah.
So with the thing that is not present, that is not present. You have simply not drawn it, right? So you don't have to show it this way. The only thing you can do is, if you want to go overboard, you can do this. Your dialogue is already going on, right? So what you can do, I would have simply touched it. Just simply touch it. Have you seen people like uh, people who forget their purse or their wallet? What they do when they have to pay someone, they check it again and again. Even if that is not there, they touch it and feel that I already kept it here, but that's not there, right? So it's that kind of thing. Let's say you lose your necklace. So what will you do? Whenever you see it, you can see it in the mirror that it's not there, but you still touch it. Like, oh my God, where's my necklace? That kind of feeling. So visually, it will be clear that okay, that thing is not there, right? So never
Yeah.
do this kind of thing.
Okay.
And while arranging this kind of stuff, always remember how you arrange your things. Let's say there are four things, right? Four things kept here. Let's say I'll list. Hmm? How you arrange it, that is the question. I would have done it like this. This is, you know, an interesting way to arrange all four of this, right? Maybe you add a cast shadow to this. It will automatically have a certain kind of depth, right? It's very simple, you know. You don't need to keep all these things, scattered like this. You need to arrange it. Try overlapping things. Don't just place things, you know, don't keep them like this. Always remember, this is your stage. Whatever you are showing, this is your stage, right? So don't keep things like in this way. This is one way of doing it. This is another way of doing it, right? I'm pretty sure that this one will look more interesting than this any day, right? So try to arrange things in your file. Again, this kind of things, you should avoid this kind of things. If you have to, capture, like your frame, you have your frame with you, right? You have your camera. If you want to capture only this, then capture this only. Sorry, what's that?
Kush,
Yeah.
mute your mic, yeah.
Sorry.
Someone unmuted by mistake.
Okay, so this frame is any day better than this. Look at it, right?
I used the close-up repeatedly, so I didn't want to repeat the same close-up.
No, there is nothing wrong in repeating shots. The only thing is that when you are repeating, there also should be a purpose of repeating it. And if that shot is interesting, then there is nothing wrong in repeating it, right? We generally, what we do in professional storyboarding is, we do actually repeat shots to make it, economical. Yeah. So we deliberately we make, reuse of shots, so that every time we don't have to create new backgrounds, every time we don't have to, the more characters you include in a frame, the more work that shot has, right? So that is not production friendly. This is production friendly. The main thing is, what story do you want to say, right? And it's a very, very simple thing. You just want to show that this statue is glowing. That's it. So our purpose is being solved by this, right? The main thing is, I'm not saying don't include other characters. All I'm saying is the composition of your shot, that is not right. This thing, getting cut over here, that is not right. This is not the right composition. Either you take this, or you do it this way. Understood?
Yeah.
So either this or this. Don't do this, right? Again, when you are showing that, the money is on the table, it's on the foreground, you don't have to deliberately move it to show that the money is there. Let's say right now you have paper, so you are using it like, you are using wind to show that the the currency is moving, like the notes are moving. Let's say, it's some kind of hard object. What are you going to do? Can't move it deliberately, right? Let's say you have a torch. You have a torch that is kept on this table foreground. What are you going to do? You can't move it, right? So don't use this kind of things which doesn't matter to your story. Instead, this things, kind of create certain kind of disturbance in the story. So I would refrain from this. Rather, you can, only use simpler shots. Sorry, keep it simple as you can. The simple it is, for simple compositions, you can also use this safety pin man that we use, right? This this kind of people that we draw, those are called safety pin man, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. If you want, you can put a paperweight on this, right? These are simple things you can do to, or you can use rack focus, like the background thing is blur, and this is
Yeah, that's what I've done in the final.
yeah, that you can use, but again you can't use it in every shot, right? Right
Yeah.
now, if you are using these characters movement as well as this, right, both are prominent, then you don't have to use that focus. You use it when the other thing is not very important in the frame, right? Like you can blur it. Let's say you are showing that this character is coming to the foreground on and taking up the, you know, uh, lifting the notes, right, or grabbing the notes. So you can't blur it. I mean, you can, but that is not the right way to do it, because this whole action will be blurred, right?
Mm.
Again, this kind of frame, I told you already, this kind of compositions,
Yeah.
try to avoid them,
Okay.
right?
You mean
Then
the one where the characters are cut, right?
yes, yes.
Okay.
And this kind of shots, I'll tell you one thing. This one, this particular shot, when you are cutting, right? ठीक, तो ये दो शॉट है ना, ठीक। सबसे
Yeah.
पहले तो सब सॉरी 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 आई
You
डिड
can speak in Hindi, it's okay.
ओके
I can
सो
understand.
no, rest of the people are also there, so
Okay.
anyways, so first of all, when you are using this kind of shot, the first thing to keep in mind when cutting is the hookup means hookup of the pose, right? Right now this pose is different, so when you're cutting, this pose is different, right? It should be the same expression, same thing, right? Even the pose, the way she's tilted behind, first. Second, there must be a reason, like if you are taking individual shot, this is a single shot, right, where you have only a single character, so there must be a purpose of doing that, or else
Yeah.
mostly, since these two characters are too close, let's say you put a physical camera in here, you need to check that if there's a camera here, like to cover this much part of a character, how far you should put a camera. Like your camera should be at a certain distance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you have a character here, right? If you keep the camera here, you will get the close up. If you keep the
Right.
camera here, you will get mid long shot. If you keep the camera here, you will get long shot, right? So you need to see what is the distance of the camera from the subject,
Okay.
right? At this point, the kind of mid long shot, that this is neither a mid shot, this is neither a mid long shot, right?
Mm.
But the kind of shot that you have taken, I would suggest the distance of the character, it's not doing justice. I would have gone for a OTS, whatever it is. This gives extra depth to your shot.
Okay.
Hmm? Right?
Yeah.
And on top of that, what you can do, little bit of these things are used as framing elements. This thing I use as framing elements, right? See, now again, this should be in 3/4. Sorry. Not front. Try avoiding frontal angles. It's always flat,
Okay.
right? It should be. Right now, I'm just changing the eyes, but you will get the idea what I'm trying to say. She must be looking at her,
Yeah.
right? Right? They're too close, right? They're sitting too
Mhm.
close. Got it?
Yeah.
And with this, try to use background, whatever it
Yeah.
is. You have to put the backgrounds. If you don't have background, try to use simple, shadow. Again, the composition is not right, right?
Mm-hmm.
So half of the space is being wasted. So you don't have to do that. You can shift the whole frame to left to create a better composition. Even if you don't use a lot of movement in the animatic, that is right. That is okay. But your composition should be tighter. Again,
Okay.
this thing, these all three characters, they are,
They're not in the same.
yeah, they're sitting like this, right? So when you are using this depth, one character is in full shot, another one is in mid shot, another one is in close up. See, right?
Yeah.
This is a character in the foreground. It will create certain kind of depth.
Okay.
And never keep your characters like this. People don't talk like this. You have to arrange it properly. How are you going to arrange it? Just simply keep her here. Keep them in a triangle if three people are talking,
Okay.
right? So it will be easier for you to compose always, not like this, right? Hmm. Guys, since I'm checking Arya's portfolio, but even if you have certain kind of question or you have certain kind of doubt, you can intervene and ask, right? It's not like since I am checking her portfolio, you shouldn't have any question or you shouldn't intervene, right? Feel free to ask whatever you want. Whatever I am telling her, whatever I am explaining her, you might also have some kind of doubt in them. So feel free to ask.
Sir, I had a doubt actually.
Yeah, go on.
So, you like a few minutes ago, you said that we should avoid front angles because it's flat. Does that apply only to characters, or does it apply to like buildings and other things also?
Actually, it applies to everything. See, there is no thumb rule. There are exceptions, right? You can use frontal angles at certain point when there is a need, but most of the time you don't use front angles because first thing you don't want in case of characters you don't want your characters to look at the camera. So when you are keeping them in the middle of the frame or they are looking at the camera in front angle, so they are mostly looking at the camera, right? So that's why you don't use them. If you are taking a low angle or a up angle, then that's fine. But otherwise, you should. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Let's say we have this, right? Let's say, let's take a character. Understood? This is looking more dynamic than this any day, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It is also a front angle, but right now he's not looking at the camera,
Okay.
right? Same with the down angle as well. If you
Okay.
take a shot of a building, right? You see why we don't use front angles, because if you rotate the camera, you will see two sides of any object, right?
Okay.
But in when you will use a front angle, what will you see? What will you get? If I'll compose this only in front angle, what will I get? Which is better? Any day this one, right?
Yeah.
Again, if you see the films of Wes Anderson, you will see that he always uses flat angle because he
Yeah.
chooses certain kind of stories which you know
The
which
camera is the character there.
yeah, which needs to be told that way, right? But in
Yeah.
most of the instances you use this or this, which will give you a sense of depth. Understood?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, like this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Samantha, actually, I had a question.
Okay, go on.
You said front angle should not be used, but let's say the superhero is coming face to face with the villain. Both
Mhm.
are of the same height, almost same height, and both are looking at each other, staring each other in the eye before a fight scene or something like that. So
Mhm.
they come close to each other. So one is looking at the other, and the same is happening. So we can show in that case front angle, right? Front angle like face.
See, front angle, not using front angle is not a rule, right? First of all,
Okay.
we need to understand that whatever I am explaining, these are not rules. You can always break the rules. But let's say if you must have heard about screen direction, right? So why these things are made? These things are these rules are being made because to make it look better, to what do you say, to reduce the confusion if there's any. So these rules are made for this purpose, but you need to there are always exceptions, as I said. So you need to make sure that what, as I gave you the example of Wes Anderson, if you see Wes Anderson's movie, there are most of the angles are flat, right? Most of the angles are front. He uses always this kind of angles. So yeah, exception is there. And the example that you gave me, I can get away with without showing front angles in that. I don't have to show front angle in that. The example that I gave here, I can always get away with that. Why do you have to show front angle at all? Don't. You can show the same thing in 3/4. What's wrong in this? Hmm?
Yes.
Right? But
Yeah.
if you feel strongly that your character should look directly into the eyes of the audience, then that's your choice.
Okay.
That's your kind of filmmaking. But you need to do that and see if that's that is fitting well into the story or not,
Okay.
right? Again, you have used this kind of angle, Arya, like when the dialogue is going on, you have used only the shot of the mouth, right? So mostly I'll tell you, this kind of things are used only in anime, if you see, right? The Western cartoons, they don't use this kind of things, right? So you need to make sure that when you are setting up your world, when you are setting up your tone, what kind of style you are following. Is it anime style cartoon? Then everything should be like anime, right? But you can't show a realistic world or a certain kind of tone and uh, you know uh, what do you say, you mix up that tone with another one, right? So this kind of things are not very well taken in the Western style of cartoon, right? So I would refrain from this. Anyways, it is not showing any kind of, it is not serving any purpose, right? So you can show the whole face, or take a mid shot and complete her dialogue.
Yeah, this didn't make it to the final because I also removed it.
Yeah, yeah. I guess more or less, is this a low angle?
Yeah,
What is she doing?
she's clenching her hand because she's stressed.
Then I would ask, what is the purpose of giving a low angle?
Stress.
Sorry?
She's under stress
Okay.
and
If
she's concealing that
okay. So if she is under stress, then this angle doesn't fit here. Why? I'll tell you.
because we look like the smaller person and she looks bigger.
No, not exactly. Make it even bigger. Why can't you show this?
I wanted to add her facial expression in that
But
shot as
that's
well.
not clear, no? It will never be clear. When you add this kind of dynamic shots, you cannot show everything in a single frame. You
Okay.
take cut shots. You take cut shots. Now that you show close up of her, right? We are not doing illustrations. We are doing storyboards. So we always have another shot that we can add after this or add before this. But in illustration, you only have a single frame to show everything. But in this, you don't have to show everything in a single frame.
Okay.
You always have this liberty, right? So use that.
Okay.
Okay. This, always remember, adding when normally when people start storyboarding, when they're new to storyboarding, they always feel that adding dynamic angles, adding super weird angles are going to impress the audience, but that is not the case. Try to be keep it as simple as you can. Always,
Okay.
I'm not saying that you should refrain from taking dynamic angles. Wherever it is needed, you add it. But let's say, yes, you're showing, I'll give you an example. You're showing a father and son are going to market, right? This thing or are in a market. This thing, there are other people around. They're moving here and there and looking at the windows. Do you think it's a simple story that I'm trying to tell? Do you think I should use this kind of angle? What is it doing to my story? I can use this, but is there any specific purpose for this? Is it serving the purpose of this? I'm just telling a simple story that a father and son are going through a market. They're looking at the vendors. Every angle has its own purpose, right? The moment you see this, you know that something is going to happen. The dynamics have changed, right? Because these angles are not normal angles that we see in a normal day. We don't look people from this vantage point, never. So whenever we put the camera, or whenever the director chooses to use this kind of things, so the audience automatically knows that something is going to happen, right? We are just giving an anticipation to the audience. So you need to, these are your what do you say, the brahmastras, or your main ammunitions, that or your tools that you are going to use to tell your story properly. If you use this kind of tools, you know just like that, in normal situations, then the power of your storytelling goes down. So
Okay.
you need to use them carefully. Understood?
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I think most of the things I have already covered, right? And you
Yeah.
just need to keep these things in mind and try to refrain from using 3D. Keep,
I was under a time constraint, so I thought it would be easier. But yeah, I understand.
but still, these things are, when you are creating a portfolio, these things are going to give a very bad impression to you,
Yeah,
to
I understand. Yeah.
the one, to whomever you are showing. And secondly, yeah, you need to work on your drawings. You need to work on your gestures. You
Okay.
need to work on your characters, because right now in your portfolio, the characters that you have drawn, they all look the same, right? So as a story artist, you need to be very, very familiar with your characters, whatever you have drawn. And you need to, I'm not saying that you have to keep it on model, but you have to create a shorthand for your characters, in a way that whenever you compose your characters in your shot, or in the frame, that should be completely clearer to the audience or whoever is looking at your portfolio. So that is a professional portfolio. You
Okay.
need to work on your characters, you need to work on your perspective, right? And if you want to get into storyboarding, you can create the same story again, for your storyboard portfolio. Try to tell it in a different way, like the things that I have told you. Try to incorporate those things and try to work on your perspective, right? And your poses and expressions, right? I mean, your character drawings. You need to be good at that.